Hi, and welcome to this episode of Kidney Plugged In. National Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Week will take place from April 20th to the 26th. In fact, the month of April is dedicated to raising awareness about the need for more organ and tissue donors in Canada and encouraging Canadians to register their decision to donate and to have open conversations with their loved ones about their wishes. And although a kidney transplant is not a cure, it offers the best possible improvement to a health and quality of life for many people who are living with kidney failure. There are two types of organ donation: deceased donation and living donation. And on this episode, we proudly share the stories from 4 presenters from the Finding a Living Donor webinar series that was presented by the Kidney Wellness Hub. Presenters Brenda, Michelle, Yash, and Kate each have a unique story about living donation, and they share their personal journeys as well as tips and strategies that they used in finding a living donor for themselves or for their loved ones. Their stories will both educate and inspire you. And there's more. April 27th to May 3rd is National Volunteer Week. And this important week is a special opportunity to say thank you to the thousands of volunteers who go above and beyond to lift our communities and raise kidney health awareness. And the volunteers across BC and the Yukon are the backbone of the BC and Yukon branch. And as you'll soon see, they do it all. So stay with us, because all this and more is coming up next, right here on Kidney Plugged In.
My brother and I both have polycystic kidney disease. His form was much more aggressive and caused many health issues for him as early as in his 20s. And I've broken down our journey of finding a kidney in 4 different stages. Stage 1 of finding a donor, I call it Dallas's way. 8 years ago, my brother at the time was about 46, and his disease progressed to the point he now needs a new kidney. He has a few close friends and a job, but the more ill he fell, the more he was not involved in the community. Dallas informed me he had reached out to some of our extended family, as well as told his place of employment and co-workers. At the time, I did not realize those he told thought he was going to require a kidney someday, and no one understood the magnitude of his health or the immediate or urgency of needing a kidney. Stage 2 of finding a donor about 9 months later, I call this realizing something has to be done, but I need to be delicate. I knew we had to do more to help find a kidney, and he would have to understand his privacy would now have to be made public. After some difficult conversations, I sent him this first message for him to approve, and that's the message you see on the screen. It was written to be more of an informative piece, while also putting it out there that Dallas needs a kidney. I gave him some time to think about it. He agreed, then he panicked and disagreed, and then he agreed. I could see how hard this was for him, and it wasn't just about sharing his health, but more importantly, to have to ask someone to donate a kidney. This is a guy who does not ask for help. He does not complain. He does not talk about it. Now he has to ask someone for this. It was unimaginable and too much for him to comprehend. but he also understood he had no choice. So I started slow with just emailing it to friends and family, and we waited. Then we agreed to go to Facebook. So I started adding all kinds of friends and acquaintances on Facebook. So this created a tension. We had some response, but not enough. So now I'm into stage 3, and this is about 4 to 5 months later, and I call it a new approach. So time went by and I knew more had to be done. I felt we needed a different approach. This is when I wrote the second message. I felt it had to be more personal. It needed to tell Dallas's real story. I then called my brother to have this difficult conversation and get his approval. He told me how much he appreciated my help, but he could not hear it and he could not see it. He said from this point forward, please don't ask or talk to him about it. It was more than he could handle. He gave me permission to do what I needed to do. I posted on Facebook. I emailed it again to friends and family to share. I printed and posted my message and hung it everywhere and anyone who would allow it. I printed and posted it on my travels. I approached our local sign shop to have a sign made and put on the back of my car, which brought media and Facebook attention. I did not want any of our friends or family to feel any pressure. I did not want them to avoid me or Dallas for fear of guilt. I made sure they understood there would never be any expectations or hard feelings, and we fully understood, appreciated, and respected everyone's decision. I was happy if they could just help spread the word. So stage 4, about 2 years from the start of our journey, I call it a real hero came our way. Dallas's coworker saw the last message on Facebook. She approached my brother the same day and said she was going to be his donor. And she was. She was a match. She had told me she had no idea just how unwell he was because he showed up to work every day and never complained. I would need a full hour to talk about her and what this meant to Dallas, his daughter, and our family. He is now 55, living a great life. To be a part of this process, to see a before and after Dallas, and to witness the miracle of giving, compassion, time, healing, and selflessness and humanity with his donor was an unbelievable experience. I learned a lot in this journey. I do recall feeling so many different emotions as we were discussing here through this process, from hopeless, frustrated, helpless, stuck, scared, sad, pressured, tired, and stressed out. But I also recall feeling hopeful, excited, heartfelt, appreciative, optimistic, and an unbelievable amount of gratitude.
Let's see, so kidney is
These are my grandpa's kidney stones. They're very precious.
kidney is a bone in your back that helps you turn. I don't know, to be honest.
They don't know kidneys are vital, do you? Get the facts at kidney.ca.
My father is a sailor. He's always been a private man, a bit of an introvert. Our story began 6-ish years ago, and this was when my dad, after completing his longest contract, this was for 10 months, he was on a ship, and he finally came home. But not long after him settling in, we noticed changes in him. He was constantly tired. He stopped going out on his regular morning walks. He was unusually quiet. He was an introvert, but he wasn't always quiet, at least with me and my mom and just in the family. A few weeks later, I was with my dad just getting ready for my med school intake. I was just getting my stuff ready, and he was also on the way for his routine post-voyage checkup. And after his tests, we got a call from our family doctor. And I remember clearly the doctor asked us to come in urgently. My dad and I, we were together, we went together, and we found out that his kidneys are failing, and he was diagnosed with stage 4 CKD, and he needed dialysis immediately. Obviously, we all were devastated in the moment. I was pretty young at the time, and I was just having that medical background, whatever knowledge I had, I was really scared. Here was a man who had lived the healthiest lifestyle imaginable, no drinking, no junk, just a simple balanced diet, and those daily walks he never missed. So this was just we thought that he's probably the healthiest man, right? And it was supposed to keep him safe. But yet here we were facing like a life-changing diagnosis. And what was even hard for me personally was to just watch my father retreat into himself. Now that we talk about it, now I talk to my dad about it, he mentions that he was himself just processing everything, and he was in the stage where he was denying, but also mentally he knew that, okay, I do need to like accept it. Thankfully, my mom, she's a doctor herself, so she helped us understand the medical side of it. She guided us through the initial steps. And I remember I went into this rabbit hole of just reading these research articles and studying about kidney health and just trying my best as a young adult just to help my dad. And we were just determined to find solutions. And my mom, I still remember, she was the backbone, and she made sure that none of us felt like overwhelmed. And it's okay, it's a challenge, and we all will figure it out. There's so many medical solutions, there's so much out there to help us out. So the first thing we did was we all got tested as potential donors, and my mother, due to her own health issues, she wasn't a match, unfortunately. My brother had a different blood type, so he wasn't a match, but fortunately I was a match. And that was the time we all had a sigh of relief. The hardest part was to also kind of like convince my dad to accept my kidney, because I remember he said this, that you're so young, you have the entire life ahead of you. I just can't take your kidney. With some gentle persistence and a lot of explaining, we helped him understand that I'd be perfectly okay. Really looking back, I think the surgery and the recovery, it was a blood of relief and gratitude at the same time. It was just a great feeling to see my dad healthy again, ready to return to the life he loved. I really think something that stood out for me through my entire journey was just the importance of education. Had my mom not took the time to educate us, or to just show us these videos of transplant and just giving us that medical knowledge, it would have been so hard for my father to just go through the entire process. So I think educating ourselves about kidney health and transplant options made a world of difference. The more we understood, the better we could make informed decisions. And again, I think communication is a key. Gentle persistence and just trying to communicate with your family members and your loved ones, it just makes a world of a difference. And yeah, I think advocating for your loved ones, the biggest lessons for me was the power of advocating for my loved ones. And yeah, my family and I became my father's champions, which really pushed for answers and staying informed about his options. And yeah, it was a journey with lots of learnings and some life-changing experiences.
Did you know that NOCDA is the acronym for National Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Week? Every year, National Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Week is held during the last full week of April. National Organ and Tissue Donation Awareness Week raises awareness about the critical need for more donors across the country, and encourages Canadians to register their decision and to talk to their loved ones about organ donation. It's a fact that far too many kidney patients die from kidney disease. Until there is a cure for kidney disease, a transplant is often the best available therapy for most kidney patients. But the demand for transplants far exceeds the supply. Here are some of the by-the-numbers statistics about organ donation in Canada. 90%. That's the number of Canadians whose polls show support organ and tissue donation. 32%. That's the percentage who have actually registered their decision to be a donor. 73%. That's the percentage of Canadians that are waiting for an organ transplant. 2,750. That's the number of Canadians currently waiting for a kidney transplant. 3.5 years. That's the medium wait time for a kidney transplant from a deceased donor. 8. The number of lives that can be saved by one donor. 75. The number of patients who could receive tissue from one donor. 4,400. That's the number of Canadians awaiting a life-saving organ transplant. 250. The average number of Canadians who die each year waiting. 6. The number of times more likely you are to need a transplant than become an organ donor. 90 plus, age of Canada's oldest organ donor. 2. number of minutes it takes you to register to be an organ donor online. Did you know that you can be part of the solution? Consider living donation. 56% of all adult living donors are not a blood relative of the recipient. Join the Kidney Paired Donation Registry. Learn more at kidney.ca/organ donor programs. Register your intention to donate your organs through your provincial donor registry. Find out more at kidney.ca/register. Speak to your family and loved ones to make sure they know and honor your wishes. Employers can remove a barrier to living donation via the Living Donor Circle of Excellence program. Visit kidney.ca/Living Donor Circle of Excellence. Learn more about kidney health and organ donation at kidney.ca. And now you know.
Hi. Good morning. Thank you.
We're packing up these socks to be sent out to kidney care clinics across BC, and we're also sending them up to our kidney friends up in the Yukon. We are hoping that they are going to get these socks on and get out and get moving, maybe use the Kidney Wellness Hub or join us at the Kidney Walk on June 1st. We are packing up a total of 5,000 socks. So we have about 3,000, 3,500 down here in Metro Vancouver, and then the remainder being taken care of by our kidney friends and volunteers up in Penticton. We do have volunteers are active to get this project going. We couldn't do it without them, but we also have volunteers that contribute to the organization in a variety of other ways. They are volunteering with our Walking to Wellness program. They're volunteering with our Kidney Wellness Hub. They help out with advocacy, community education, and of course, they are the energy behind our kidney walks. So our volunteers will also be delivering these socks to our kidney care clinics, where they'll be distributed out from there by the health staff to kidney patients when they come in for their appointments. So they'll be going out to kidney care clinics in Vancouver, in Surrey, Abbotsford, out in Penticton, Kelowna, Prince George, on the island in Nanaimo and in Victoria, as well as sending up to our kidney friends up in the Yukon.
My daughters actually, they found this volunteer opportunity and brought me out to it, and I'm so glad they did, because we're having lots of fun here and helping out in the community. Well, we're taking these inserts that are all about the kidney walk, and we're inserting them in with these packages of socks for donation out to hospitals around the province. Well, we're going to be here all afternoon to get all of these boxes filled with socks. Well, I think as a family, we're going to get to 2,000 today. That's our target.
If you are interested in volunteering for the Kidney Foundation, you can check us out at kidney.ca.
I have polycystic kidney disease. I was diagnosed at a very young age. It is a hereditary disease. So my father has the same disease as I do, and he is a 3-time transplant patient. I was diagnosed at the age of 9 and have lived with this for approximately 37 years now. And my kidney has begun declining over the last couple of years. Unfortunately, I had a great team support me through this process, but it was difficult. There is no question. What I can share with all of you is This is a hard experience. There's nothing easy about what we're going through, but we're not doing it alone. And as isolated as we feel in the experience of having kidney disease and trying to find a donor, because what we don't have control of is the outcome of our disease. That is something that we can't control. We can try to mitigate it as much as we like, but we will need help. We'll need assistance. And it's hard to ask for help, but we have to.
Can you imagine losing most of something without realizing it? Over time, kidney disease can destroy up to 80% of kidney function before you notice any symptoms. Talk to your family doctor to see if you're at risk and need to be screened. It could save your life.
The journey started many, many years ago, well before I needed the transplant, but I, became sick. And the need was immediate at first. When I was diagnosed, my GFR was quite low at the time. And there's a photo there with me in the ambulance, totally unbeknownst to me. I was not doing well with my kidneys. And I was told, hey, you need to look at finding a donor or, you are very close to starting dialysis. I count my lucky stars many times that, I was able to stabilize. And I did start that journey, and I utilized, similar to, Teresa's point around, looking for friends. And mine was a little different just because I actually, how the world sometimes serendipitously happens. And I was watching the news one morning, and there was this young girl that had just received a kidney from her mother-in-law, and they were on global television, I think it was, hoping to win they had to put their wedding off because of this kidney transplant. And I was like, wow, I need to meet this girl. That's amazing. And so I remember reaching out to the media outlet saying, I know you can't give me her info, but can you pass along mine? I just need to connect. And she was so wonderful. And she actually started a Facebook page for me initially. She's like, I'm going to help you do this. This is how I'm going to, help back. And this was a complete stranger who I had met once after connecting at a Starbucks. And she began my Kidney for Kate Facebook page. Fortunately, I was able to stabilize for some time, actually a number of years. And so the search kind of fell flat because I wasn't in the need at that moment. But people knew. And as I met people, they were, I very much made it aware. I got involved in the Kidney Foundation as a volunteer, educating people, sharing, just general, because I knew at some point I would be in need of a kidney again. Fast forward about 6.5 years, I met my lovely husband pictured here. He knew coming into our relationship that, I had kidney disease and the likelihood of a transplant would be needed. And he stuck around, so I'm thankful for him for that. And, so we were living our life and we wanted to start a family. And that was one of our goals. And my team was positive to that. And unfortunately, my body chose that it wasn't the right time for that part of my journey. And so some med changes didn't go well and my function started to decline. And so the need for the kidney was kind of rectified, like this needs to happen. No family right now, let's find you a donor. And so, this is, back a number of years now, over 7 years ago now, and putting that out. So I definitely, I have a lot of family and friends across Canada, especially. And so for me, sharing through social media was definitely a component. And I kind of just put it out there as, hey, many of you are aware or some may not. And here, again, very similar to what Jody and Christina shared, putting out the need, the why, all those sorts of things, and kind of leaving it out there. And the hard part sometimes, as anyone that's been in this process even for a little bit, you don't always know where people are at, depending on who steps forward. And that's really hard as a recipient. You're trying your best to, and you don't know if it's actually helping at all. Now, I guess in my case, I did know there was a few people getting tested, including my newlywed husband, which I'm forever grateful. And I did put a lot of my eggs in his basket. And I remember him saying to me, Kate, I'm feeling, I'm as optimistic as you are that this is going to work. But we need to keep an open mind that, what if the answer is no? And I kept all the eggs in his basket, trust me. But, the reality was there. And who knew the man I had just married the year before would also be my kidney match. So, again, sharing that information, I knew there was friends and family that had stepped forward to my knowledge. Again, I have no idea how far or those sorts of things, but sharing my story through social media, through conversations, friends of ours sharing the story, it just provided, again, that education and the knowledge around that. And so very fortunately, 7 years ago in September, he donated his juicy left kidney. We have been able to go on and have 2 beautiful children who are pictured there in the one corner of that. And so I'm forever grateful that, my journey doesn't stop just after transplant. One, my involvement in the community, still letting people know, when important things come up around organ donation, because the likelihood is that I had my transplant in my 30s. There is a high possibility that I might need another one in my lifetime. And so continuing that, it doesn't stop even after transplant. So if I was to give you guys anything today is, take one day at a time, right? We can't accomplish everything. As Jody and Christina said, it takes some time for donors to get worked up, but being open, vulnerable, and willing to share your journey, I think hopefully will help alleviate what can be considered a bit of a roller coaster experience.
If you or a family member are at higher risk of developing kidney disease, we invite you to explore the Kidney Wellness Hub with customized tools and resources designed to help you preserve your kidney health.